Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Extra Mile for today, February 3rd, 2025. My name is Darryl Kinsey Jr. And as everyone knows now, last Wednesday was a horrible day for our area. In the evening hours of last Wednesday, an American Airlines jet, Flight 5342, was on its way to landing at Reagan Airport. It was about 400 feet from the ground before it collided with a Army Black Hawk helicopter, which had 3 individuals on board. And everyone on both the plane and the helicopter were lost in the horrific accident, the deadliest plane crash since 2001, and our first fatal commercial jet crash in the United States since 2009. This crash has personal connections to me, as 4 of the individuals that were involved in the crash are from Charles County, where I do have my day job, and 8 were from Southern Maryland, where I have worked for the last 3 years now. This is a tragedy of unprecedented scale for our area. And before we start the show tonight, I would like to have a moment of silence for the victims and the families of those that were lost. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and pay some bills, and then we will get started with the show right after this.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at iSports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
And we're back here in the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Darryl and Jen here with you this evening. We're going to get started with the NASCAR Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium. After the last 2 years at LA and God knows how many years at Daytona, NASCAR finally returned to Bowman Gray Stadium where the Bobby Allison Memorial Trophy was on the line, and the winner is Chase Elliott. A commanding win for Chase on Sunday night. But I think the most exciting part of that race, Jen, really was you look at everything that went down on Saturday. These guys are driving angry for a lot of these races.
Yes. They have some anger to get out with the way things ended last season and all the changes. It's going to be an interesting season.
It definitely is, and I wonder how much of this is going to trend over into the rest of the year with some of this contact that we saw. We saw Justin Haley and Kyle Busch get into it. We saw Haley and Ty Gibbs get into it on Sunday in the LCQ, which ended up with Gibbs getting airborne under caution.
Yikes.
Which made the rounds, and Eric Jones sent a couple of folks around. It was pretty much what we expected from racing at Bowman Gray, which has prompted a question on what should the Clash be, and the Clash just needs to be fun. It is a pre-race or preseason. Let's celebrate NASCAR's back. Let's go out and have a race that doesn't really matter. That's basically what this race was.
Yeah, and for something like that, you don't want drivers getting hurt or risking injury with unnecessary crashes. So definitely needs to be fun and a good kickoff to the season without casualties.
Yes. Thankfully, everyone did get through okay, but Brad Keselowski got turned by Bubba Wallace at one point. Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch just did not have good days this weekend. Larson finished 17th. Kyle Busch finished 15th. And you can't really make a lot of predictions for the rest of the season based just on the Clash because it is so different what they're going to do the rest of the season. But to start the year, those two, I think they're ready to get to Daytona in a couple of weeks and put this behind them.
Yes, definitely.
Although neither of them really have a lot of luck at Daytona, so it's not going to be fun when they get there either. So for them, they're hoping to get to the next race of the season, which is Atlanta, another restrictor plate style race. So it's not going to be a fun first couple of races of the season for Larson and Kyle Busch, as they don't have a lot of luck at those tracks. On the other hand, in the personal fan department. Very excited to see Bubba Wallace go from 14th to 5th on Sunday. Qualified into the big show by finishing in the 4th spot in his heat. And that car methodically just worked its way up the field, managed to get to 4th until Joey Logano moved him out the way late. But for a lot of Bubba Wallace fans wondering how the new crew chief pairing was going to go, yes, it doesn't count, but first race, encouraging. We saw some good adjustments.
That is definitely encouraging, especially after the way things went for him last season. And I'm happy for Chase Elliott as well. He didn't finish things out on the greatest note towards the end of the season last year, but he at least he got the win. So even though it doesn't count for anything, gives him a little boost of confidence before the season starts.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest part. You want to start this for the drivers that didn't start or it didn't end last year that great to come into this year, have a decent run. And Chase absolutely dominated that race, leading 171 laps. It gives you a little bit of a boost. And now you've got to carry that to Daytona where, let's be honest, yes, the season starts at Daytona. Everything is about that trophy at the end of February 16th. That's the only thing people care about.
Yep.
So you get a lot of momentum into Daytona 500. Then you try to carry that into the rest of the season. Just look through the order a little bit at some of the notable drivers. Denny Hamlin led 28 laps. Looked like he was going to have something there for Chase Elliott at the end, but ends up finishing in the 3rd spot. And Ryan Blaney starts last on the field and comes 1 spot from winning the race.
Wow.
I think he's got this thing figured out.
Sounds like it. That's great.
You just go in, you get the provisional based on points. You don't run the last chance qualifier, start last, and then just go up through the field. That was what Ryan Blaney managed to pull off. Finishes 2nd. And he looked good that night. Needed a couple of extra laps to make it work, but Ryan Blaney manages to fill out the podium with Denny Hamlin and defending champion Joey Logano, as we said, Bubba Wallace rounding out the top 5. Shane Van Gisbergen, his first race on an oval with the Cup guys, ends up finishing 9th. Gave a good account of himself as Shane came over from V8 Supercars, the New Zealander. He's starting to learn these ovals a little bit, and I think if he starts getting those down, he's going to be a championship threat. We know he's probably going to get into the playoffs based on one of the road course races. I think I'd be shocked if he doesn't win a road course race this year. But if he can make something work on those ovals, he could be in a good spot.
I mean, he finished higher than the best race car driver in the world. So
they're not going to live that one down. I think ever since he said that, they said that about
nothing good has happened.
Yeah, nothing as good has happened since, and I find that hilarious.
Talk about shooting yourself in the foot.
Yep. And now he's got to try to recover. Larson just did not look strong all day. And like I said, can't really take anything from this race for the rest of the year, but you would have liked to have had a better showing. I mean, he did get up into the top 5 at one point, but got shuffled back into the field. And with how tight the racing is at Bowman Gray, and the only way to pass is to hit somebody, he unfortunately got bumped and spun out of the way and did make a nice little pirouette in the grass. But other than that, it was just not a fun night for Larson. I think he's ready. He's glad to be out of there. So we kind of got to find a home for the Clash. Jen, I don't know if you watched much of it, but do you think it should stay in Bowman Gray? Should it go back to Vegas? What should they do?
Let the drivers vote on it. You'll probably get 43 different answers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did not get to watch much of it on Sunday because the Blue Jackets were playing at the same time. But I saw some of the highlights and stuff. I mean, it looked like it was a fun race, but with the limited track space, I don't know. It's a little risky.
Yeah. I mean, we did have one big impact, but thankfully everybody got out. They had the safer barrier at Bowman Gray, so thankfully everybody's all right. And we will head on into Daytona, where the Super Bowl of racing awaits us, and this really starts the stock car season in America, the Daytona 500. Yes, it locks you into the playoffs. Yes, it gets that monkey off your back the rest of the year. Nobody cares. The only thing people care about going into this race is taking the big trophy home at the end of 500 miles. And there are a lot of drivers whose Hall of Fame resumes don't seem complete because they haven't won this race yet. You're still waiting for Kyle Larson to get one. Kyle Busch still doesn't have one. Denny Hamlin has 3, excuse me. Sorry about that. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin has 3, can't win a championship, which that brings up an interesting question about what counts between championship and Daytona 500.
Right.
But Brad Keselowski still looking for a Daytona 500. Wow. Usually he's the one that starts the wreck that causes him not to win the Daytona 500.
Yes.
But you've got a lot of top-tier talent that need to have this race to their resume that haven't had a chance to.
I think it would be poetic for Denny Hamlin to win.
Oh, to get his 4th one, still waiting for a championship. You know what the funny thing is? I doubt he would trade one of those 500s for a championship, though.
Yeah.
I don't see him doing it. So we go into the Daytona 500. We know that the drivers have to avoid the wrecks, avoid the chaos. We know, unfortunately, at some point there is going to be a big wreck, and it's going to take like an hour to finish the last 10 laps.
Most likely.
But it's all going to be about who can play the lines and who can survive until the end. But I think the era of just riding in the back till the end, I think that's gone just because of how it's set up now with the Gen 7 or next gen or whatever you want to call it now. You have to be up front because the draft isn't as strong as it used to be.
Right.
It used to be you could go back to 36, be 6th in 4 laps. Now you go back to 24th, you're going to be there a while.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, it's a lot harder in this car aerodynamically to start the 3rd line. So qualifying is going to matter. The duels are going to matter a lot. And there are some drivers that want to get that monkey off their back and finally win this race. Case in point, Bubba Wallace, who seems to either finish 2nd or wreck at this place. And it's so hard trying to go out there and try to win this race because one year you are like inches from winning. The next time you're upside down and on fire.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's such a lottery trying to win the 500.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, with the way he moved up in the clash, maybe he can make that final push this time.
I think we're all hoping, and with everything that has been going on nationally, it would probably be poetic if Bubba ends up
Yes,
winning the Daytona 500.
definitely.
Yeah, but Jen, who are you looking forward to the most at the 500 in a couple weeks?
Well, I'm hoping the Hendrick team can show up. They really were utterly disappointing in the playoffs. I don't know. I would like to see somebody win that hasn't won before, but
This race lends itself to underdogs at this point,
that's true.
just with how it's set up.
That's true. It would be nice to have maybe make it more than 10 laps without a crash. Maybe. Just maybe.
Yep. We hope.
Yeah. Last season, I felt like every time I turned a race on, there was a crash. I was like, but it just started. Come on.
Yeah, hopefully we don't put anybody upside down on the backstretch because there's no more grass to take up at this point.
Yeah.
Because didn't really see it visually when I went last month, but I can say last month now, it's 2 weeks ago, but whatever. Just seeing from the replays, the grass missing on the backstretch, they got to put something back there.
Yeah.
They have to put something back there because the way it sits right now, it's just not great.
Yeah.
But whoever avoids the wrecks and whoever can run the lanes, run the lanes like Senior used to when they said he could see the air. Those are the drivers that are going to be the most successful, and you set yourself up where the regular season is a lot less stressful when you already have that win in your pocket.
Absolutely.
But your legacy, no matter what happens in the season, is already correct. I mean, it's already bolstered by winning the Daytona 500 because no matter what happens, case in point, Michael McDowell, you got to call him a Daytona 500 champion. No matter what he does from here on out in NASCAR.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our little preview event of the NASCAR season by saying who needs to show us more coming from last season to this season. And a current seven-time champions team is high on my list. We'll be right back here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter at any time. Be happy to reply. Always willing to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we're back here in the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Darryl and Jen here at you this evening. Michael and Chris will be back next week. And Jen, I will say, as let me make sure you're unmuted. News broke earlier last week that Ford is now going to be joining the hypercar/GTP grid starting in 2027 with a run at the World Endurance Championship, and then they will come back to run IMSA probably in 2028. While no official timetable was given for them joining IMSA, IMSA officials were at the announcement, so more than likely they will be there at least a year after. I know Genesis is coming in 2027 after they start next year in WEC, which is the Hyundai offshoot. And as I was thinking as they made that announcement, where is IMSA going to fit all these cars? Because we did the math last week, and they're going to be up to, and that's if they only bring one car.
Right.
13, 14 hypercars. You've got God knows how many GT cars, and then the 9 to 10 LMP2s. Somebody's going to be sitting out of the Rolex 24, unfortunately, just due to car count.
Or it's going to be really backed up. I mean, they only have so many pit stalls, right?
I mean, they've got it to 61 at this point, and I don't think they can find another one. They're bursting at the seams with the 61 stalls they have now. So it's going to be tough. And I
probably definitely don't want to be sharing pit stalls.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Somebody's
going to get left out.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but sports cars are in a golden age right now. They said the merch sales at the Rolex 24 broke records. I know, we were a part of that. They had 901,000 viewers during the Rolex 24 last week, or 2 weeks ago, which was a huge increase compared to 2024. A lot of the race was on Peacock, so the streaming did help. I went back and watched some of the highlights. It was a great race. The cars are interesting. They're fast. It's a good time to get into sports car racing if you're looking for a motorsport to get into. That's what I would say. And I wish we had another race before Sebring, but I kind of get it because you put everything into Daytona, you're wiped.
Yes.
After that. And they're in Daytona for 2 weeks. They're absolutely wiped. So it would be difficult to ask the teams to run a sprint race really anywhere in February. It's just not conducive for racing the month of February. And then try to come back and run another endurance race in March. So you kind of lose some of the fire, but it'll pick back up in March, and then we'll have a more regular schedule going forward. So we get into some more NASCAR conversation here as we get ready for the season. And always when we start a season, there is a question of what teams or drivers need to show us that they're on a right trajectory after a 2024 that was difficult. And I would say I think the team that needs to show us something, and it's going to be a surprise, I would say Hendrick Motorsports to start off.
That's what I was going to say too.
Mhm. You might want to say, wait, Darryl, Jen, they have two generational talents on the team. William Byron finished third for the second straight year, and Alex Bowman exists. I make the joke because Chris isn't here. Alex Bowman is a good driver, and any team would want him. But they absolutely bombed in the part of the season that matters the most to them, which is the playoffs.
Yep.
They started with 4 cars with a chance to win the playoffs, or sorry, to win the championship. William Byron's the only one to make it, and he was nowhere in that championship race.
Yep.
You know, a distant third. So they got to show me that they're not heading for another down streak that they tend to have randomly.
Yeah.
Chase Elliott wasn't himself last year. Kyle Larson, I don't know
Fell
what
off
happened.
the face of the planet.
After Indianapolis didn't go the way they wanted, he fell off the face of the planet.
Yep.
And for the greatest race car driver in the world, you can't do that.
Nope.
So they might be probably the number one team in NASCAR. They got to show me something.
Yeah.
They've got to show me that they can rebound from last year's disappointment, because a lot of the disappointment kind of ate at them. And I know it's been eating at them all off season. Jen, who do you got?
Well, I would like to see the teams fighting NASCAR do well, just despite NASCAR.
That'd be Front Row and
2311.
2311.
Yes.
Which did start off at the clash with the 2311, with the owner and two of the cars running well. Riley Herbst ran into some steering issues during the last chance qualifier and was out of it after that. But you do want to see the teams that are in an active lawsuit get a comeuppance on NASCAR with everything that has to do with that lawsuit, and how, depending on how you feel about the situation, feels good when you see those guys getting one up on the sport. Trackhouse Racing, y'all fell off last year. Suarez did get a win and get in the playoffs. Chastain was nowhere. I don't know if that was more of that whatever conversation he had with Mr. H after he kept wrecking Kyle Larson 2 years ago, or what, but that team expanding to 3 cars. They have Shane running the full year. They just came off of running the Rolex 24, which probably didn't go the way they wanted to, but was still fun to see them out there. They're getting ready to start their MotoGP season. Yes, that is a sentence that I can say. You got to show me something on the NASCAR side. What is the ceiling for the Suarez and Chastain combination? Because a couple of years ago, it looked like Suarez was going to have a renaissance and Chastain was going to be up running for championships. And last year, it just wasn't what they wanted it to be. Suarez finished in the 12th spot. Chastain 19th outside the playoffs. You know, it was not the season you expect from them.
No.
They've got a lot to recover from. Next up on the list, Ty Gibbs. You got to show me some maturity, man. And Sunday did not help. You are the future guy at Joe Gibbs Racing. You carry the last name of the guy that owns the team. Got to show me some maturity going forward, because you're going to be expected to be a team leader at some point. And it's not working out. Throwing the fit with Justin Haley, damaging the car the way you did, basically took yourself out of contention. Jen, he can't do that.
No.
He's got so much scrutiny on him.
That is counterproductive, to say the least. You can't cut off your nose to spite your face, as they say. No. It's not going to get you anywhere.
No, and we've seen a lot of that from Ty, so he's got to do some growing on his side, and Zane Smith as well, for that matter. Just got to stay in the black, got to stay off of people, and if you do spin somebody, you can't let it. You can't let it just marinate like it did when he was trying to win the truck championship. Accidentally spun one of his competitors, and over the last 30 laps, he was basically useless. You know, you can try all you might, but some stuff's going to happen, and if it happens, you got to rebound and just
keep driving.
You got to keep driving, go forward, and you apologize after.
Right. You can't take it personally.
No.
Especially not while you're in the car on the track.
Next team, they just got to... Let's talk about Legacy Motor Club. Now majority owned by Jimmy Johnson, the 43 and the 42. What are we doing, guys? And I know this team is a holdover from what used to be Petty. They're trying to do some building. They're trying to get used to Toyota. Is there any pulse here? Or is this just where Eric Jones and John Hunter Nemechek go to just end their career? Like, what is the speed? Is there any speed in this team? You got to show us something,
right,
at this point.
Maybe Jimmy Johnson should jump in and show him how to drive.
Well, he's been in it and it hasn't helped.
Oh, well, then they got bigger problems.
Yeah. This team has to find a direction.
Yeah.
I think they've been rudderless for a while. This team is also, if you look at the lineage of Petty, post him driving the car, it's died, been resurrected, brought back in name only, merged with people. Now it's under this current name, Legacy Motor Club. It's just, you got to find a footing. And they don't have one right now. And it's unfortunate. Hopefully they can find it this year.
Yes.
Same thing with RCR, to be honest. You look at that team, you've got Kyle Busch. He basically carried the team.
Right.
The less said about Austin Dillon, the better. He is who he is. What you get out that car is what you're going to get out that car. That is my nice way of putting that. Surprised a certain owner wasn't up for a position here in DC, given current events, but we're not going to go any further into that than we need to, which is not at all. So I'm just going to move on. But you can't have one of your cars. These are the people that finished behind Austin Dillon, by the way. Corey LaJoie.
Oh, he's still driving?
Well, Corey LaJoie, who got fired midway through, got fired from both teams, if you want to be real. John Hunter Nemechek, who was dreadful. And those are all the full-time drivers he was behind, or that finished behind him. The next driver is Kaz Gralla, who I forgot existed. Cody Weir, who I wish we could forget existed. Jimmy Johnson, who's just doing development work for his team in retirement, and Derek Krause, who existed. That is the guy carrying Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s number.
Oh, what a slap in the face.
Yeah. I think for Austin, show us what your next career is going to be, because NASCAR's not it. I think we can just say that, and I'm being as nice as I can, but
Yeah.
it hasn't worked out. Meanwhile, in a positive light, Spire Motorsports had some good runs with Carson Hocevar, or had some good runs last year with Zane, and he's moved on since then. Were those flukes, or are you really becoming a decent team? You don't need to make the Final Four, but I wouldn't even say win a race, but consistent top tens from the 7 to 77. Can you do that? You know, are you making the strides to become a team that is going to be around for a while in NASCAR? I think they're on that trajectory, but they just have to keep building. And it's hard because success in motorsports is not linear. You can go up, come down a little bit, go back up, and then fall down for a couple of years, but you've got to find that turnaround point to hit an upswing.
Right.
Because you've got to find a way to keep getting up to that peak as a team to build yourself into the upper echelon of the Cup Series. It's hard to get to, I will say that. That midfield, it's packed with a lot of speed. And it's going to be hard for teams to get out of that to a JGR, a Hendrick, a Penske, those type of teams.
Right.
Either way, it's going to be a fun season. It's always a fun season with NASCAR. We got a lot to get through with the streaming and where you can watch the races. I know that's we'll try to keep you up to date on that as we get ready for the start of the season. Well, we actually, I think the good part about the Daytona 500, though, Jen, finally have a pre-qualifying practice. So teams will have an opportunity to work on the car before the practice at 8:15 on February 12th to set the grid for the duels. And after they set those, and once we get those duels races with 49 cars, anything can happen.
Yep. Definitely.
Gonna have 49 cars for either 40 or 41 spots, depending on what happens with Helio Castro Neves, because he is locked in. Either way, the rest of the field gonna be some knockdown, drag-out fights to figure out where they're gonna start for the Daytona 500.
Yep. Always fun.
So before we go, here is your schedule of events for the Daytona 500 as far as the Cup Series is concerned. Wednesday, February 12th, practice 1 at 10:05 on FS1, followed by qualifying at 8:15 p.m. also on FS1. At 7 p.m., we start the duels at Daytona. First one will be at 7 with the second race to start estimated 8:45 p.m. Those races also on FS1. Valentine's Day, try to make a deal with your sweetheart if you can. Practice 2 for the Cup Series. This will be their only running of the day. That'll be at 5:35, right before the Fresh from Florida 250 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. That'll start at 7:30 p.m. And your over/under on wrecks in that race is yes. Which Next week, we will have a long conversation about whether or not the truck series even needs to run here, but it is what it is. And then Saturday, final practice for the Daytona 500, 3:05 p.m. Eastern. Who knows how many cars will actually go out for that practice? We'll see. Usually they'll either go out to run in the engine or use the time to change the qualifying engine out. So we'll see if anyone decides to go out before Sunday, February 16th, 2:30 p.m., the Daytona 500 NASCAR Super Bowl in the start of the season on Fox. So thank you all for listening to this edition of the Extra Mile. It's been fun. Next week, more previews of the season ahead. We've got IndyCar coming up and Formula One also later this week. We should have some testing coming up soon for Formula One. We'll have some livery reveals to get into. And Chris should be back, so we will finally be able to get his view on the cursing rules now in Formula One. And I think he's going to be opinionated.
We might need to get a censor for the show.
Well, we might have to hand out our own 1 month suspension. Who knows? But hey, we'll be back here in the Extra Mile next Monday. That'll be, so I can get my calendar up. Next Monday, February 10th, 8 p.m. Make sure you join us here. And make sure to keep it locked to all of our iSports Radio pages on Facebook, Instagram, and I guess we're still on Twitter right now. Don't get me started on that one. But I think we're all just quietly waiting for Blue Sky to get streaming, to be honest. And I think we'll be figuring out what to do from there. But hey, for Jen, I'm Darryl. This has been the Extra Mile. We will see you next green flag. Good night, everybody.